Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14, presented by Stakes. We're here to talk about the opening night of conference play in SEC hoops. That was Wednesday night. We had, 6 games involving SEC teams, really 5 games, although one of those was Rider, Georgia. But really exciting action, Blake. I think if you were just looking for a good night of basketball, you were really happy with what you got on Wednesday.
Well, you're really happy if you were.
Well, unless you're a Kentucky fan.
Well, unless you're an Arkansas fan. I mean, there's several teams,
too.
Chris, that I don't think are very happy. But no, I get
But
what
Arkansas
you're saying.
is at least more easily
Chris,
explained.
I don't know about that. I still think Arkansas fans not happy about the fact that they didn't win that game, and I think that's the bigger issue here. But no, we know Arkansas fans, very knowledgeable, that check into our channel here, but to only score 57 points and lose that game the way they did, I don't think that's going to be that thrilled. But yes, it was an interesting slate of games. I think one game was unexpected in the way it played out. I said in the preview, I'm not surprised that Missouri beat Kentucky, because I don't think we should have been surprised. Yes, I picked Kentucky because, as I keep telling you, I feel like sometimes I have to back off on my Missouri love here. But you know what, Chris? I say that, and you know what? I've got something for you. I've got something for you because, I say that I need to back off of this, right? But at the same time, I feel like sometimes you have to embrace it. And, now, anyone who's watched our stuff before, the reason I'm putting this up is because I put this up, I don't remember when. I put this up not long ago in another video we did, and there was something behind it. So just want to put it up again. Kentucky fans, I just calm down. If everybody knows, this is kind of
our man Blake took a lot of grief for suggesting Dennis Grates was a great hire for Missouri. A lot of grief.
Well, we have fun with this, and we've had fun with it since. But look, I mean, listen. Did I think Missouri would be sitting here at 12-1 with double-digit wins over Kentucky and Illinois right now? No, I can't even tell you that. I just don't think I would have, especially after the Kansas game, right? I mean, that's
right.
That Kansas game, everybody jumped off board. They were like, all right, I've seen what I need to see. This team was a product of a lackluster schedule. But what have they done since then, right? They win at the buzzer against UCF. They blow out Illinois. They blow out Kentucky. That tells me what I need to know now. This team is, as we said yesterday, this is an NCAA tournament team right now. Could the defense slip to the point to where maybe they're not in? Yes. That's still a possibility because, I say that, Chris, their schedule.
Their defensive intensity was really good last night, Blake.
Well,
that was not the Missouri team we'd seen. They do that. It's the stats are a little skewed because they're high possession games, but I think they were leading the country in forcing turnovers in terms of number.
Steal percentage, they're number one. They're number one.
They say they play so fast.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I said when Dennis Gates was hired. So what are you gonna get? You're gonna get an aggressive style of play, and always thought that was going to kind of be the difference there. Now, the first couple of years at Cleveland State, they played a more a slower type of style because it was the personnel, and that's kind of how they needed to win. But now, when you look at the roster he's built, I mean, again, go up and down the line here with Hodge, with East, with Honor, Gomillion, Golston, all these guys, they're playing to their strengths. Now, we say all that from the guard position, right? I mean, we talk about the SEC Player of the Year race right now.
I know where you're going because it's where I was going to go next.
I mean, I get it. We're going to talk about, certainly Brandon Miller, and we talked about Sheboy and guys like that. But Kobe Brown has posted back-to-back 30-point games against Illinois and Kentucky.
Yeah.
And, that's nothing to scoff at. He didn't play great against Kansas. We all know that. But, I mean, this is a guy that has improved his game to a level that I don't think we thought that we were necessarily going to see. Although last year we said we felt like he was kind of undercredited in terms of probably wasn't getting enough attention just because of where the team was. But I mean, he has stepped up in a big way. And when you consider who he did it against, right? Sheboy goes for 23 and 19 last night. but Kobe Brown's the best player on the floor. And, I think that is such a big part of this now. And when you look at Missouri moving forward, yes, like we have some fun with the Dennis Gates stuff and all that, but I told you, Chris, I just think offensively, they are going to be good enough to beat anybody. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to be perfect defensively every game because I think that's asking too much. But they are so good offensively that they will outscore some people. And we've seen that happen before, where even when their defense has slipped a little bit, they're just good enough to outscore people. And I think that's kind of the situation you're going to see from them a lot this season is they may give up some points, but their defense has gotten better and they force turnovers and they play, like you said, such an aggressive type of style that they're going to give themselves a chance. And so yeah, Missouri, no, we're gonna talk about LSU in a second, but there was no more impressive performance last night to me than Missouri.
Yeah, a few things. Missouri just jumped on Kentucky from the go. I mean, just seized that team by the throat and didn't let over. Kentucky looked shaken in that game, I thought. You had a couple of near altercations where Missouri just wasn't going to back down. To the extent to which Missouri was the aggressor and Kentucky was not, was a little, I don't know what the word is. Revealing, I guess, is the word I'm looking for here if you watch the game. Number two, Kobe Brown. Blake, I think I was kind of wrong about him. I thought that Kobe Brown was a good player for Missouri, and this is going to sound like a backhanded compliment because, like, every team has to have a leading scorer and a leading this or that, right? I didn't know that Kobe Brown could be a carry you guy on a really good team. Obviously, I was way wrong about that. You look at his last two games, he was SEC Player of the Week, was named that this week, and then he comes out and just lights Kentucky on fire. And look, Missouri's got parts. Missouri's got a lot of offensive parts. So to see Kobe Brown in a game like that against an excellent defensive team just take over and do what he did after doing that to Illinois, that really got my attention. That kid is a player. Number three.
Hang on one second before you get to number 3. Jeff Borzello put out an interesting stat. Just the third D1 player in the last 25 seasons with back-to-back 30-point games in wins against ranked teams.
Wow.
The only player who's done it in 3 straight games versus ranked teams, which, by the way, that the reason why he set that up, right, is because they're going to play at Arkansas next Wednesday. So he has a chance to do it again, although, it's going to be tough, right? But the only player to do it 3 times, Steph Curry, 2008 NCAA tournament.
Wow.
So there you go. All right, number 3.
Pretty good company. But number 3, just the way that they play is amazing. Blake, did you see the possession last night where Kentucky gets a bucket? Missouri comes down on the other end of the floor, and I don't remember if it's East or who it was, but they get a layup with 1 second having tick off the shot clock. Now, I think the clock operator might have been a tick slow in hitting the finger there, but still, off a made basket. You look at what they're doing. I'm looking at their KenPom profile this morning. They're 27th in tempo. It feels like they're faster than that. And number 2 in offensive efficiency adjusted, and that's adjusted for schedule. Man, think about how hard that is to do. Because part of that is you're going to have to get good shots. And this is efficiency, right? It's not scoring, it's efficiency. It's per possession. They're number 2 in the country in effective field goal percentage. To play that fast and be that efficient is amazing. And let's go back and look at what Missouri was a year ago under Conzo Martin. 260 in tempo, 153rd in offensive efficiency. Now, it's a very different team outside of Kobe Brown and Ronnie DeGray and a couple guys like that. So there is that, just to clarify. But that's pretty amazing. Now, where they pay for it, they're 351st in defending the backboards. So I think that's probably a product of having guys get out in transition and prepared to score on the other end of the floor where you're not crashing the boards hard enough. But, man, watching them play is fun.
It's just me sitting back and just letting everyone else officially have their spot on the bandwagon. Since I've been there for months, I'm just letting everybody else jump aboard here. But no, it
The
is.
best thing is you're saving more. You have
Oh my
still got
gosh,
stuff saved up that you're going to unleash later.
I DM'd someone last night with a nice little screenshot of something that I was told whenever Gase was hired, and we had some fun with that. But yes, it is. I mean, Missouri's having fun, and good for them. As we've always said, Missouri's been one of the better basketball jobs in the SEC. I don't think people realize that on the outside, but we know how much it means to them to be successful in basketball, and that's why it's been so frustrating over the past however many years. Is because they've wanted to get back to that. And look, I'm not saying that means Missouri's going to wind up finishing as a top 25 team this year, but right now they are a top 25 team. They're an NCAA tournament team as things stand, and they've got back-to-back double-digit wins over two ranked teams. So, yes, things are going well for Missouri. On the flip side, so we don't make this an hour, let's quickly get into Kentucky here because
oh boy,
Kentucky is, I saw people kind of getting a little upset at this, but I don't remember. Other people talking about this last night about Kentucky may not be an NCAA tournament team right now. You remember I mentioned that to you in the live stream. I said, let's not get carried away calling Kentucky a lock to make the tournament just yet, because what I've seen from them, the best teams they've played have had a significant advantage on them in, a couple different areas. And specifically, as we keep talking about, a lot of that I think has to do with it offensively. But the problem is defensively also, they struggle at times. And I just still think, I mean, it's the same thing. Like offensively, they just don't have it. Like, I mean, I think it's probably too much to ask that they're going to figure it out at this point, because I don't really like. Let me ask you this: you watched the game, like, did they do anything significantly different from when they got down early to late in the game? Like, did you notice anything that significantly changed how they approached the game? Like, I just don't. And
no.
maybe I'm just missing something, but like I just don't see it. Like, to me, it's the same stuff. Um, right now, it's a team that's being carried by two guys, in my opinion. That's Oscar
Well,
Tshiebwe and
take
Casey
that back.
Wallace.
They put Fierro in there for a bit. They changed up on defensively. I guess they felt Missouri was getting too many easy buckets, and
Let's say offensively, not I don't defensively.
okay,
Yeah, maybe they did, but offensively, did you see that much the change? Because I didn't. Um,
no. I
I
mean,
don't
there's
know.
still just well, and here's the other thing: Frederick got hurt in that game. Looked like maybe I don't know if it was a dislocated finger or what it was. That didn't help. But I mean, look, it's been the same story with him for a while. And the other thing, and this is going off script a little bit. All the Jacob Toppin love that the mainstream media was giving that kid in the preseason. We talked about this off podcast one day. I said he's getting a lot of love as a breakout player type of the year, and you weren't buying it. And it's not there right now.
Yeah, but he played
I'm not saying he's bad,
well
but I'm
to
just
start
saying
the
there were a lot of
season.
people that
So
were expecting him to step
I know
up
what
and
you're
be a
saying, but
all
he's
SEC type
yes,
player.
he's not played well the past several games. I get that, but like he didn't have a bad start, and they almost needed him in a lot of those games. Um, I don't know. Like I just again my confidence in Kentucky is going backwards at this point. Like we said, I think even in the Michigan game, you just looked at them and it was nice to get that win. But even after that, like I can't say that there's anything they've done over the past almost month now that has given me any reason to change my expectation on them. Now, look, could they come out and beat Louisville by 30 on Saturday? Yes. And somehow, you and I are, for some reason, probably going to preview this game. I'm going back and forth, so as we're talking about Kentucky right now, but it's hard to believe this Kentucky Louisville game is kind of in the spot it's in. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I wonder if Kentucky gets there with this group, because right now I don't have a lot of confidence in that. And, I still think it's the same stuff we talked about. I think you have confidence in Sheboy, you have confidence in Case and Wallace. Beyond that, fair, unfair, I think, Severe Wheeler, there are limitations there in terms of, I think, some of the things he can do. And I think specifically that's, a perimeter threat. And I know he went
Yeah.
2 or 3 from 3, and that's fine. But in the bigger picture. I think that's still something, and I think it's just to me, it's still the lineups themselves. Like it's still the lineups he plays. They just don't seem to mesh well together sometimes, and I still don't know that they figured out, the what's getting them there. And so I guess Cal's trying a lot of things, but then again, I just don't see any progress in some of the areas that we said they have to have progress in, and maybe they'll get there. I mean, I mentioned I'm not going to overreact just yet and say they're going to miss the tournament or anything, but I think things are heating up there because this is the four best teams they played this season have at times had a significant advantage on them in one area or another. And we've seen that with Michigan State, Gonzaga, UCLA, and Missouri. And that has to be frustrating for Kentucky fans. So
Yeah, they've got one really good win. I mean, and you could debate that's a really good win. That's Michigan.
I mean, again, yeah, right. Like it's a good win. I don't know that I'd say it's a really good win.
Michigan might not even make the tournament.
Yeah.
Michigan would not make the tournament right now, I don't think. I'm looking at who Michigan's beaten, and it's not impressive. Michigan's done what Kentucky's done, is it's lose to just about every good team on the schedule.
Well, as for Kentucky, their next two road games, Tuscaloosa, Knoxville.
Ooh.
So they got Louisville, LSU, South Carolina at home. They should win all three of those games. But their next two road games, we'll see. Because that's been the difference, right? That the games they play, all four of their losses are away from home. And you said it. I mean, they look like they kind of got punched in the mouth last night, and they just
didn't react.
That was it. So
they were shell shocked.
That was it. So we'll see how they respond there moving forward.
Well, one more thing. You said that in the live stream about let's not even count Kentucky as an SEC tournament team or an NCAA tournament team. For sure. If they don't make the SEC tournament, then there's really a problem. But
I think they'll make the SEC tournament.
Right. My buddy Jeff Drummond, who's covered Kentucky a long time and is balanced and fair as I know of anyone in this journalism profession. Drummond said last night that it's a premium content item, so I won't read the whole thing, but he's questioning too whether this is even an NCAA tournament team. And I'll be honest, Blake, that didn't even occur to me before last night. I just kind of assumed Kentucky would get it right and get better. There's so much talent on the floor. We mentioned before the season, one reason I like Kentucky, you don't ever see a team in a spot that Kentucky was in where it's got a National Player of the Year returning in the post and a point guard who's played so much ball like Xavier Wheeler has. I mean, and that you never see that at Kentucky in particular in all the talent they brought in. I just thought the dominoes were set up. But when you underachieve as badly as Kentucky is underachieving, something has gone really, really wrong. I don't know exactly what that is. I don't know what that locker room is like. But that was kind of a bucket of cold water you threw in the pod last night. And as I've sat and digested it a bit and seen what people I respect are writing, you're not the only one that's got that opinion. Now, I'm not ready to go there yet. I will still bet on the talent and that they figure it out. But it's not anything like what I expected we'd be seeing.
Here's maybe the best way I think I can put it without being too harsh. This Kentucky team to me is a finesse type team.
Ooh.
I think they need to be they need to be Missouri, right? Like that's it. Like they need to be, is Missouri a finesse team? No, like Missouri's a smash mouth sort of, whatever phrase you want to use. I think this Kentucky team is more, I don't know. Am I wrong about that? Just when you watch them play? I feel like there's
the way they reacted to confrontation last night was really telling.
To me, telling. They don't have that. I don't know. I think that's it. And maybe finesse isn't the right phrase, but you understand what I'm saying. I feel like it's more. I haven't seen that sort of next level, get in your face type approach, right? I think that's the thing. And that's probably what would be an issue for me if I'm a Kentucky fan. I'm looking at this team and trying to figure out who's going to be that guy. because it can't just be one; it has to be multiple, right? I've talked about, certainly impressed with Case and Wallace and such, but I just think this is there's just so many different things that you could point to here, but I just wonder, you know, like I said, and I'm not like it's kind of goes together, but like they need to be more like Missouri. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that's it. And I'm not saying play the exact same style. Like don't anyone quote me on that. Like I'm just saying how they approach the game, I feel like is more we're gonna sit back and we're gonna react to what you do versus I think Missouri doesn't like Missouri does what they do. Like they don't sit back and react. They just kind of go
Yeah.
out and do their thing. I think Kentucky is more of a reactionary team this season where they let the other team sort of dictate how the game is going to be played. And I think that's their problem. So it's one of their problems.
I'll give you credit. You picked up that something was wrong with this team, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I remember we were going on I think a preview. You said, I'm not ready to come out with it yet, but I just don't like the way this team looks. I don't know if it's that you saw or what, but this has been brewing with you for a while. This was not like some revelation that you stumbled upon last night when you were watching these two teams play.
No, it's been a trend, and we'll see if it changes. But right now, I don't have a lot of confidence in that. So,
Like you watched them play Florida A&M. I mean, they should have won that game by 40 or 50 points. That was a 10-point game or so, I think, late in the second half or under the 10-minute mark. It just 60 points against Bellarmine. It's just not a team that has really come out on any given night and impressed. But anyway,
all right. Sorry, everybody else. I mean, this is the biggest. I think it's the most noteworthy game of the evening was Missouri Kentucky, but we certainly don't want to discount LSU beating Arkansas. The rest of the games we're going to kind of speed through because and this is no knock on Alabama either because we kind of said in the preview, right? Alabama, we thought was going to go in and take care of business, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I mean, LSU 60, Arkansas 57. You know, I I told you I thought LSU's better than teams people are giving credit for it. And what's the thing I said, Chris? I said there's something to winning close games, and I don't care who it's against. I don't care if it's against whoever. If you can find a way to win close games, and you do that over a period of time, you build that confidence when you get in those close games. And they're going to play in those close games in conference play. Well, they're already 1-0 here in a close game. And that's why I think, again, I don't look. Do I think LSU is just overwhelmingly a great team? I don't think they're to that point just yet. But I think they are a team that, like I said, has built up so much confidence in the fact that they had started 11-1. They come into a game against Arkansas, which, yes, they're without Nick Smith, without Brazil. We get it. But to me, it's an LSU team that has found a way to make those winning plays at the end of a game time and time again this season. And they do it again here. And I just that they're an interesting team because I look at them now and to win a game like this, you kind of look at different guys that have stepped up for them. I mean, Trey Hannibal has 19 off the bench in 22
where did
minutes.
that come from?
Well, I mean, look, he's a former, as you said, I mean, he's been in the SEC
South
before.
Carolina.
Obviously, he was at, Murray State with Matt McMahon. But yeah, I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere because his previous high had 12, but really hadn't scored a lot other than that this season. But that's the thing. It's like we said, this team has options. And if you can beat Arkansas, who, let's point this out, Chris, we talked about the bus shortening the rotation a bit.
Ooh, last night
He
it
played
was
5 guys. Like, that was it. I mean, basically, like, nothing against Kamani Johnson and everybody else, but he basically played 5 guys and said, "Here we go." Like, and this is what you're gonna see. I'm telling you, and we've said this before. Now that they're in this situation where they don't have Nick Smith, they don't have Brazil, you're gonna see a lot of this. And that's where, that room for error closes significantly because you get someone in foul trouble, it changes the game a bit because you are relying on you're relying on 5 guys, as we said. Right now, that's the case they had to run into last night. So I think when you look at it from that standpoint, that margin for error is very slim now for Arkansas, and we saw that in a game like this. So yeah, I mean, it's just, and they didn't shoot the ball well. I don't know. I mean, I know it's frustrating for Arkansas fans, but I think you're just going to have some of these games. But like I said, I don't think you should take anything away from LSU, who finds a way to win this game with, I mean, really, what, two former SEC players that are now at LSU, Trey Hannibal and Derek Fountain, because Derek Fountain came from Mississippi State. They combined for 33 points, and meanwhile, KJ Williams and Adam Miller really didn't do a whole lot. But yet LSU still finds a way to win the game. That's very encouraging if you're a fan of the Tigers, being able to win a game like that.
Yeah, I don't remember who was calling the game last night, but one of the
It was Mike Morgan and John Sunvol.
I think it was Mike Morgan made the point that, and I guess it has come up in a conversation with the coach, that Hannibal's a kid that, like, in a game where there's no whistles, you're just out there playing. He just does stuff, and he's a much better player. Last night was a pretty tight whistle, very physical game. That they were saying that's one of the more physical games they'd seen in years, and that he, in a game like that, he thrived, and he did. So shout out to those guys for doing their homework. If you're Jalen Graham and the other Mitchell twin, you got to be sitting there just going, what do I need to do to get on the floor?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's
I mean, those kids played a lot at Arizona State and Rhode Island. And Muss does this every year. Like there's a couple guys last year he did it with Chris Likes that just they don't see the floor for long periods of time. And you would think that they would get a little deeper with the bench given the injury situation, but that always seems to be what he likes to do no matter what.
And it always seems to work. Like, so
and it always seems to work.
That's why he keeps doing it, because it works.
Right.
And like I said, you're going to see this. Like, and we talked about the gauntlet they played. I mean, they lose this game to LSU. Now they got Missouri next, at Auburn, home against Bama. That's a tough stretch coming up here for the Hogs. Not saying that's going to be, a repeat or anything of last season when they started 0-3, but you know what? It could, because it's a tough schedule. But I think Arkansas is going to be okay. This was a game that came right down to the wire. So I don't think you really knock them very much for that. But as we said before, the ceiling without Nick Smith and Brazil is lower than it is with one or both, right? And, Smith is the biggest driving force, I think, of what they can be. And without him on the floor, and like we said, we have no clarity on what his situation is going to be moving forward. It's hard to know what to do with Arkansas, because I just think it changes things significantly, even though, yes, I know they've won games without him. I get it. But SEC plays a different beast, and we're seeing that already, and it'll be interesting to see how they kind of regroup here moving forward. Meanwhile, for LSU, they go to Kentucky on Tuesday. So another big opportunity for the Tigers there. Matt McMahon returning to the state of Kentucky. So
two more things before we move on to the next game.
Maybe 2 hours.
It might be.
Sorry, Auburn and Tennessee. Auburn and Tennessee, we're not going to have a lot to say about you two. We're probably not going to say a lot. I'm sorry, but we'll get to you at some point.
Is the silence and the lack of info on this Nick Smith thing concerning to you?
I don't know. I've heard people talk about that. I don't know. Like, I hate trying to figure those kind of things out, because part of me is like, it's not really my business. Like, I mean, they don't owe me anything to tell me exactly what's going on. But I also look at it as, you can be frustrated as an Arkansas fan, but if I'm Nick Smith, I mean, come on. He's a top 5 pick, right, in the draft. And we can like it or not like it, but if he has an injury that is concerning, if I'm in control of that, am I really going to put him out there with something that I think could harm his long-term future or short-term future? No. So you can be frustrated by that, but there's no way. And again, Muss has been here before, probably with other guys. Like, you're going to be cautious, and people can get upset about that and think about what might have been, but you can't do it any other way. Like, you can't just put him out there just for the sake of saying, oh, well, we got a lot at stake here. Well, so does he. And I'm not really I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Like, because I just don't think that there's a perfect answer. Because I really don't think they owe us anything to tell us exactly what's going on, other than the fact that there's clearly something that concerns them right now with him being on the floor. And and I don't even have like I'm not invested in it in terms of being there or anything like that. I would rather be way more cautious than not. So
Well, there's two guys I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Michael Porter Jr. at Missouri and Darius Garland at Vanderbilt.
yeah.
And I hope it's not one of those situations, because I would have loved to seen what both those kids could do, and obviously that never really happened. Well, with Garland, we saw it.
And look at how he's faring now. Like, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean,
thank
that was the right
goodness.
decision
Like,
for him,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Like my goodness, he's become just a joy to watch. So yeah, I mean, I get it. It's tough as a fan that gets invested in the fact that you do have a future top 5 pick in the draft, but at the same time,
That
well-being's
comes with the
always
territory.
well-being's always going to be number 1, and you are talking about a potential number 2, number 3 pick in the draft next season. So, yeah.
Last thing on LSU, KJ Williams had just been dominating anybody and everybody. He'd had, 2 30-point games, had 28 against CTSU coming in. I would not have dreamed, if he goes for 8-5, which is what he went for last night, that LSU would have won that ball game. But that's what happened, which I guess, if you're an LSU fan, makes you feel a little better about things. Not that LSU's feeling badly about things, but the point here is that if you won without the guy that's been far and away your best player having a good night, you beat Arkansas, that's probably a good sign that your season's going somewhere.
Yep. By the way, this is bugging me. I said finesse for Kentucky. I don't think that's the right word. Like, I feel like finesse would mean they were. That's been
That
bugging
was
me
like
for a minute.
15
You know,
minutes
you
ago.
understand what I'm saying, right? Like, but you understand.
Yes.
Like, my point is that, like, I feel like it's more. What's the word? There's a word I'm looking for, and I don't know what it is. And oh boy,
Passive?
there you go. I think that's it. That's the one I'm looking for. And I was gonna say, boy, if I say that
That's
again,
why I'm here.
Kentucky fans in the comments, they're gonna find a lot of words that
But
they
they
may
were
use for this.
passive. They were
But
passive. You saw the altercations. There were 2 loose ball situations.
yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
And the Missouri kids looked like they wanted to break someone in half. And the Kentucky kids just kind of stood there with the half bewildered look on their faces. Maybe that's too harsh.
Everybody who knocks me about the finesse comment, just continue on for about 10 minutes and you're going to see my
Do
rebuttal.
you think Kentucky fans are going to argue with you at this point over criticism,
A
honestly?
lot of maybe, well, they will argue with the finesse comment because I think, again, finesse
Okay.
is not the right word. So, yeah, we'll see. All right, let's quickly go through Alabama real quick. We're going to give them a little space, and then, like I said, I apologize to Tennessee and Auburn, but quite frankly, we're not knocking them, but I don't want to make this an hour. So Alabama, Mississippi State. We
I didn't
said, I
get to
mean,
see much of that game, but
yeah, look, we said it was going to be a real challenge for Mississippi State to hold Alabama to under, what was the number? 59 points. Probably wasn't going to happen, and it didn't happen. But Chris, did you see the stat of the night right here? Do you know what, I'm going on this? The stat of the night in the SEC.
does it have to do with points scored against Mississippi State? Because there haven't been many of them until last
No,
night.
not the stat of the night.
Okay.
The stat of the night is, at one point, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, who finished 18 of 36 from the free throw line,
Oh.
were 8 of 25 from the line, and when they were only down like 8 at the time. Oh my. I mean, what, you missed 18 free throws and you lost by 11. I mean, boy, that's a tough thing. Because Alabama still turned the ball over. They turned over 19 times. What do we say? We said Mississippi State's gonna have a chance here. They got to turn them over because that's something Alabama's done a bit. And the game at the start was really Mississippi State's favor. The game kind of slowed down. I mean, I want to say halfway through the first half, it was like 10-9 or something. So like it was exactly what they wanted. Yeah, here it is, 10-8 with 9:45 to go in the first half. So like that was exactly what Mississippi State wanted. But we said the problem was going to be slowing down Alabama with some of those runs that they were going to make. And you saw that, and there just was no answer even for a team like Mississippi State that plays defense as well as they do. But boy, you got to be frustrated with the fact that Every chance. Like, they shot 36 free throws. They doubled Alabama's free throw attempts, but they only made 18 of them. Alabama went 14 of 18 from the line. Mississippi State goes 18 of 36 from the line. Brutal. And look, we hate calling people out, right, Chris? But, and I wanted to save this for the last part because I don't like calling people out. But Tolu Smith goes 3 of 15 from the free throw line.
Oh,
and I wanted to put that in the team context first before anyone, because I already know Mississippi State fans are not happy.
by the way, he's on the first All Ken Palm team, All SEC team that came out. I guess this morning he's on there.
But Chris, here's the thing: if you look at his free throw numbers before that game, they were pretty good. Like, it's just a weird thing, right?
He's 54% of the year, so he would have been 49 of what? Of 81? That's still not great.
Well, hold on a second. Let me just give you his free throw numbers in some of these games. Nicholls State, 7 of 8. Minnesota, 8 of 9. Mississippi Valley State, 8 of 14, which is still not bad. 6 of 10 against Utah. Still not bad, right? I mean,
1 of 6 against Marquette.
Okay, well, that's one game. Like, it's one game out of the whole sample size. But, like,
I wonder if is that like a confidence killer though going forward?
Oh man, yeah, that's tough.
Does he get the yips?
3 of 15. That's brutal.
Well, he goes 1 for 6 against Marquette, and he's 6 of 10 the next game. So maybe
that's what I mean. So, like, it's just one of those things that is very, very strange. Yeah, it's very strange. They had their chances though. So, boy, I don't know what to say. I mean, give Alabama credit. They go on the road, win at a place it's not easy to win at. But I think for Mississippi State, you got to be a little frustrated here and how that played out. So,
did you see who hit the floor for Bama last night?
Yes, Welch had his first
Welch
appearance of the season, and
who barely came off the floor before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like we said, I mean, he was gonna play, and that just gives Alabama another guy, right? I mean, my goodness, what are they? They're 10 deep now. They really are. Like, they're 10 deep. And I mean, it's wild, isn't it? And remember, they're 10 deep.
And Quinterly's only playing 11 minutes last night.
Well, but think about this. They're 10 deep. And remember, Amari Burnett's coming back at some point soon. So they're 11 deep, really. And yeah, Quinterly, I don't, like we said, I don't think that's surprising to kind of see what the role has become there, because there's just been so many other guys that have really stepped up in some of those spots. And I just think it's been great for Alabama. So, yeah, I mean, nice, really good win for the team we have ranked at the top of the SEC right now, on the road, tough place to play. And yeah, I mean, now Alabama gets 3 of their next 4 at home. So a nice setup there for Nate Oates' team moving forward.
Here's the thing about Alabama, Blake. Bama's beaten 2 teams that were ranked number 1 at the time they beat them. Got a great road win last night in Starkville. Beat Memphis a couple weeks ago. So the big wins are starting to pile up. Beat Michigan State. But you watch this team and you say that team can still get a lot better. I think and that's what's really exciting to me if I'm an Alabama fan. It's that you've already got a team that you don't have to squint to see is a Final Four team, and I don't think this team is playing anywhere near its ceiling yet.
No, they just turn the ball over.
But my point is they've got the guys to get better.
No, right, that's what I mean. But like, I don't think they're going to turn the ball over as much as, and maybe they will. But I mean, think about the schedule they played, and it's going to get tough from here. But that's an area they can improve in. Yeah, there's several different areas they're going to get better in. It's a dangerous thing to think about, because they are. I keep saying it. I think they've got the highest ceiling of any team in the SEC. I think it's probably close between them and Tennessee, but I think that they have more of something. I think it's the scoring ability, and I just think that they have the highest ceiling to me of any team in the league. And and like you said, they've got a chance to get even better for here. So,
Tennessee Ole Miss, what did you learn?
All right, quickly, again, because this is one where you asked in the preview, you said, are you surprised that this is such a low spread, right? It was 7.5 or whatever it was. I was like, I'm not, because this is the type of, who was it? I think it was Tyler in our live stream on Wednesday night said, this was your typical Tennessee Ole Miss basketball game. Like, these are the kind of games that it feels like they played over the years. And that they were the rock fight. We originated that phrase with a Tennessee Ole Miss game. Um, the one a few years ago was 52-50. It's kind of played out that way. And I mean, really, it's interesting because even when Ole Miss was in control of this game, you still felt like Tennessee was going to find a way to win. And that's frustrating if you're Ole Miss because they had their chances. And we said this would be a huge way to start things off, right? To get a win, against Tennessee. They were up double digits in the first half. Um, but Ole Miss just there was a stretch in this game, and I'm going to try to pull it up because I just now remembered it. But I remember, no, actually, never mind. That was the other game I was thinking of. But like there was still a stretch in this game though where both teams it's just like boy, it just kind of grinds to a halt where they're just struggling to score, and and that's the thing is like you don't knock Tennessee for winning the game because defensively, as we said, they're so freaking good. And they were good here. I mean, look at Ole Miss's numbers, right? They go 8 to 25 from 3, 32%. They only shot 42% from 2, 15 turnovers. Tennessee didn't shoot the ball well, but the good news for Tennessee is they only took 15 threes and not 40, right? So they go 3 of 15 from 3. But Vescovy is still kind of, as we said, I mean, it was a matter, I think,
He's
of
the
getting
glue
him
that holds that
healthy.
team together.
Well, he
Well,
is when
one
James
of a
is
few
not playing.
guys.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Right.
and he's still not playing, so there's another injury that we have to kind of keep an eye on because we just kind of know that's been that nagging thing for a while now with him, and I don't really know what the expectation is there moving forward, which is also frustrating because we know how good he can be, but I just don't think Ole Miss has the firepower offensively, and that's not unlike anything we talked about this season. Defensively, they're good enough to have these kind of games, right? Because they've had the close loss against Oklahoma. They played well, I thought, defensively against even a team like Memphis, but they just don't have that next gear offensively, and I think that's what's going to hold Ole Miss back.
Okay, there's a little bit of an oddity in the Tennessee game I want to bring up and get your reaction on. But first, a word from our presenting sponsor, Stakes. Predict sports better than the crowd for a chance to win NFTs. With Stakes, players can forever cement their sports predictions against friends, other fans, and influencers. Don't let your sports genius go overlooked. Join Stakes and have the best predictions captured in the moment. Go to playwithstakes.com/14. Use our invite code Southeastern14 and get a double welcome bonus. Okay, I was listening to the game, had to take my kids somewhere. I was listening, which, by the way, no thanks to 104.5 locally. They're the Tennessee affiliate. Why are you not carrying Tennessee basketball games? So I've got my phone plugged in while I'm driving and listening to the TV audio. And at one point when Tennessee was making a little bit of a run, maybe midway through the second half, the announcers noted that Tennessee was in a spell where they were like 7 for 8 when they got a shot off. In the first 10 seconds of the shot clock. They were playing fast, which is not a typical Tennessee thing to do. They're 198 in tempo as of this morning. But they were getting quick shots, and it worked. I don't know if that was just a one-off fluke, but I thought that was interesting.
Well, I mean, there can be some good and bad with that, I think, because I still like this is still not a great shooting team, and so I think sometimes if you do that, I mean, you're maybe more prone to take a lot more jump shots, although it's not always the case. But if you just look at the efficiency numbers, right, there's just they're still there. They still are what they are, and so, but yes, like I do think if you get Vescovy and Ziegler and these guys out in the open, and can feed one of these other guys, a Tyreek Key, a Julian Phillips, guys like that. I mean, Conway, I thought hit some nice shots. Yeah, I mean, certainly it's like I said, it's a team that can play different ways. I do believe that, because they have some guys that can I mean, Adu has 6 offensive rebounds last night. Like that's the thing too. You have to think about it. I think that Tennessee, what I want to say, they're still are they the number 1 team in the country in offensive rebounding percentage now. So
They are the green ink on their Ken Palm profile is just it's incredible.
on
They're
defense,
number
yeah.
one. They're number 1 in effective field goal percentage, 3rd in turnover percentage, 1st in 3-point defense, 10th in 2-point defense, 5th in steal percentage, And get this, I was looking at, we have adjusted defensive efficiency. That's based on who you play. That's not your actual number. Blake, this is incredible. They give up 76.5 points per 100 possessions unadjusted. That's
Yeah,
crazy. That is
they're
that
good.
is over a point better than Houston, which is also elite. Rutgers, by the way, 3, and Mississippi State 4.
They're good. Yeah, so it's a nice win. I know it wasn't a pretty win, but we said to afternoon game. They moved that up because of the football game. So yeah, give Tennessee credit. It's a nice win. It's a kind of a grinded out win that you really expected, given how the two teams play. So yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Tennessee because they're so good defensively, and they'll get there offensively. They're still going to have some of those spells. It's just a product, I think, of the roster, but they're just so good defensively. Sometimes it doesn't matter, honestly. So
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I guess nothing. Anything
nah,
on the Ole Miss side?
not really. They just can't score.
You're in get me out of your mode, aren't you?
Well, we can't get this to an hour because people are going to think we're nuts. Um,
Well, we might
Auburn
be.
Auburn 61, Florida 58. Let's quickly run through this one because sometimes it's like we have to make everything even. No, we don't. Like some of these games were just not. There weren't as significant a takeaways in some of these games as there were others, which is why we spent as long on Missouri, Kentucky as we did. Um, just felt like there were significant takeaways on both sides. Auburn, Florida. I don't know if there's that much significant. Was it closer than we thought? Yes, but with the way the game played out, should we be that shocked? No, because of why. I mean, it's the same
No,
stuff.
but I'll tell you what, I don't think Florida has got a chance to win in the final seconds if Colin Castleton gets 6 points.
I would agree with
So
that.
I don't
You're
know
right.
what you do with that, but
No, I mean that's true. But
Florida feels like this feels like it's going nowhere with Florida. And with Auburn, it feels like this is a team with the ceiling that is more capped more than
yeah,
most
which
of Bruce
is
Pearl's teams of the last 5 years.
which is exactly what we've said for a while now. Is
Auburn's fine. Auburn's not great.
Auburn's 11-2, and you don't want to discount that. But you see the things that I think once the schedule picks up, which they have a nice schedule. I said this to someone yesterday. I don't remember who it was, but I said, "You look at Auburn's schedule; it's really nice. Like it's a pretty nice setup because look at their next 5 games, right? Now, I'm not saying these are all going to be easy, but just actually look beyond the next 5 games. Here's their SEC slate moving forward: at Georgia, home against Arkansas, at Ole Miss, home against Mississippi State. So your two toughest teams are at home. At LSU, certainly won't be easy. At South Carolina, home against A&M, home against Georgia. That's the first half of their SEC slate. I mean, that's very manageable. So like that's the thing. It's like Auburn could have a really good record, but I think we're still going to point out some of these things that you know that are still there offensively. But you know what? I guess at the end of the day, the number to the left of the column, that's what matters. And it hasn't been pretty for Auburn at times. And this game was not pretty, but they're 11-2. And yes, we all know I don't. This is not last year's team, and I think we've kind of figured that out at this point. And it didn't take long to figure that out. But I I feel like sometimes I don't give Auburn enough credit because I do think that this is still a good team. It's just not. I don't think we can compare this team to last year's team or the Final Four team because they're not the same. They're built differently. They don't have that next gear offensively, I think. And
Their guards just are not good enough with. Well, they don't shoot it well
look,
enough,
that's the
and
thing.
I
It's
don't
like
think
it's
there's
not
any
even
way
that. It's
around
like
that.
they just don't shoot the ball well. And I mean, they go 3 of 14 from three
What's
last
that?
night. They only took 14 threes, right? I mean, they only took
Right.
14. So that's good.
Which
Like
I
they
don't
don't
know
need
that
to
that's
take
a
a
bad
lot.
idea.
Yes, take as few as you can. That's a great idea for this team because I just don't think they need to take a lot of threes. Um, I want to say I'm looking at it now. That was their second lowest 3-point total of the season. That's good. Like they don't need to take a lot of them because I just, consistency wise, I don't think it's there. And so, you have to find ways to win we have to find other ways to win, right? And I think that's what it comes down to is they need to get the bulk of their points from inside the perimeter and at the free throw line. I think that's where this team And look, they don't shoot the free throw well, but getting to the free throw line, I think, is important. They go 16 to 24 last night. Um, so yeah, that's. I mean, I don't know that I want to say that I'm concerned about Auburn because Traore, that's something else too, right? Like we came in, we didn't really know what the expectations were. Top freshman, really good player, but he's averaging what? Probably about, I don't know, 14, 15 minutes a game this season. Like he's not playing a ton and he's not really doing anything scoring wise. So like, can he get there? Sure he can. But like I think that's one element too that maybe you kind of overplay what you expect of a guy like that, and it's just not there yet. So if you take that out of the equation, then that adds more pressure on everybody else. And so I don't know. Like Auburn's fine. Like defensively, they're still really good. And I think that's, I don't want to say it's the same situation as Tennessee, but there are some comparisons when it comes to just how they play defensively. And that's kind of their bread and butter. And that's going to give them a chance to win a lot of games. But I don't think, if they get in a shootout, do you feel good about their chances? Probably not, because I just don't think they have that next gear offensively that some of his other teams have had.
Well, the thing that they do have that could come in handy down the line is they're deep. They're deep everywhere. And so everybody gets hurt at some point of the season. Auburn is a team that I think is maybe built to withstand that a little bit better than some other teams in the league if it gets to that point.
Yep, they got options. That is a good thing to have, and they do have that. They certainly have the depth, and so yeah, you will see guys emerge and continue to get better on the offensive end, but defense travels, and right now they're playing well defensively, and I think they'll be fine. I don't know that I would put them in the same category as Alabama or Tennessee right now, or
No.
Arkansas. Well, I don't know, maybe I don't know. We'll see.
Blake, I'm going to give you one thing that nobody's talking about that's worth the mention. But before I do that, a quick word to our sponsor, BROTHROW. You can check them out in our ticker if you want the link. If you don't like betting $10, or excuse me, betting $11 to win 10, BROTHROW is a place you need to be. When you bet $10, you win $10 should you win your bet. It lets you bet in all 50 states because BROTHROW isn't the house bettors have a fair chance at winning. It's the only sports betting platform that doesn't take a cut of every bet. You don't have to deposit money into a BROTHROW account. No deposits, no minimum bets, no need to connect your bank account. Bettors pay each other directly. It is a hassle-free sign-up process that lets you get in the action in seconds. Go to brothrow.com/SE14. Help out our partners there. We love this partnership. We hope we're doing this for a long time. Anyway, join our group once you're there too. Search Southeastern 14. It'll ping me to let you in the group. We'll do that so we can have some fun there. We're just getting this group started. It's a few dozen members already. Once it grows, we can really do some cool stuff. We'll have some chats and some neat stuff in there. But anyway, visit our partners at BROTHROW, and if you bet on games, this is the place that you need to be. Okay, Blake, one thing nobody's talking about. Georgia beat Rider last night, 78-72, and you're probably going, well, big deal, right? Let's take a look at the Bulldogs this morning. Georgia's won 10 games under Mike White. That's 6 more than it won all last year. Georgia was a year ago in KenPom 219. Georgia's 99 as of this morning. Now, look, KenPom's rankings still have preseason bias in them until I think January the 23rd. And so I don't put as much stock in those. But 10-3 for Georgia. And I know not been a lot of great wins in there, probably no great wins, maybe some decent wins. But from where this program has come from, hats off to Mike White in what he's done in Athens so far.
Yep. They won 6 games last year. They've won 10 to this point and haven't even started SEC play yet. So that's progress. And, we'll just see how they fare in SEC play. We said from the beginning, I said, you're going to be surprised by, I don't know why people would knock this higher. Mike White will at least get them back to being respectable. I'm not saying he's going to get them to winning SEC championships, but he's going to get them back from the depths of wherever they just went last season because they bottomed out. As Vanderbilt bottomed out several years ago, Georgia bottomed out last year. And to me, Mike White was a great hire to get them back to being on some sort of even level with the middle of the pack. And I'm not saying they can't get higher than that. I'm not saying the expectation should be higher than that. But in one season, yes, like you will take 10-3 after going 6-26. So yes, they have made progress. They've been competitive in pretty much every game. They've been competitive every game they played in. We'll see if it continues in SEC play.
Any parting thoughts?
Nope.
Thanks to BROTHROW. Thanks to our presenting sponsor, Steaks.
Thanks if you're still watching at this point.
Thanks if you're still watching. Do we have a secret word? Drop armadillo in the chat if you're still watching at this point. What is it?
Bosco. George's ATM code.
Okay. All right. If you're still watching, thank you. Thank you again to our sponsors. He's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. You're watching us at Southeastern 14. We'll see you again soon.